Hey y'all, Noons here. Welcome back to Noons Airborne RC. And if it's your first time here, smash that like and subscribe button so you can get notified for future content. And if you're a longtime viewer and subscriber, once again, welcome back. Well, everybody, part 2 of our build, really our first phase. We're going to be going ahead and installing our upgraded retract mechanism and our JP Hobby brake, the 65mm by 4mm axle. So we're going to go ahead and get right down to it once we get back. So let's roll that intro.
Get some!
Hey y'all. So we're going to go ahead and do the brakes and the retract. We're going to go ahead and need our retracts for the T33 and our JP Hobby 65mm by 4mm axle brake. We will also need a wing of your choice to go ahead and start. I went ahead and I did finish one up, so you guys can go ahead and see what the finished product is. Looks like it came that way. There you can see the brake, and it just spins. So before we go ahead and start off, here's a little word of caution. I'm going to be doing something that seems unconventional to people. No, I'm not carving up my plane. But if you've been checking out the videos, when they say to go ahead and upgrade the retract, you see it talked about and you see it done. You don't see the in-between. The reason why I believe that is they're not quite telling you the full story. Yes, you will need the retract. Now the set screw hole for these retracts are in a different place than the retracts for the Avanti. The Avanti likes to clamp up at the top of the strut in the retract housing. The T33 retracts like to clamp on the base. So the slots that line up your strut, they are not going to match up. Now I cannot confirm nor deny this, but I think the people who are upgrading the retract, they're upgrading the entire landing gear. They're using the T33 strut and tire and the gear, and you can get that for $40. So that's an additional 40 and 40. That's $80 just in gear and retract, which is negligible if you're in turbines. Now, I have these retracts, but I'm going to be using the original Avanti gear. And to make that happen, the original Avanti gear is 4.1 millimeters. This hole in this retract is 5 millimeters. So to go ahead and get that done, I'm going to be using a 5mm OD by 4mm ID aluminum tubing, and I'm basically going to make a sleeve. Now, I think I heard all of you. How are you going to go ahead and get that to clamp? We're basically going to be making a compression fitting, and we're going to use red Loctite to lock it in place. Now, a lot of you might not like that. Oh, what happens if you crash and you got to replace this, you got to replace that? Remember what I said, everybody, it's $40. Nose gear, you can bend on the landing. To bend the landing gear, yeah, you destroyed the plane and you got to buy new stuff anyways. If in the event I do have a retract burning out, I will do a complete conversion with the T33 gear. It should fit. I don't have one for exact measurements. So if somebody's out there, if you can go ahead and send me the overall dimension from the top of the strut, right there where the strut pin hangs out, to the center pin of your hole, and put that down in the comments, that'll go ahead and alleviate that curiosity for all of us. So like I said, I already went through one wing, so I can go ahead and show you guys without the hiccups on what to do. So let's go ahead and get to it. All right, so we got our JP brake, we got our retract, and we got our wing. So let's go ahead and let's open this stuff up. All right, and let's open up our wing. Sorry I'm reaching over the camera, guys, but I don't have a camera person, so that's just the way it's gonna be, I guess. Alright, so now you have your wing. First thing we gotta do is to access the retract, we need to go ahead and remove this little plate. So what I do is they have the sticker rolled right around it, so I find where the plate's at, and I use an X-Acto knife, and I go ahead and I cut around that sticker. to where the plate's at. Same thing on this side. There's a little groove. If you don't push too hard, your X-Acto knife will go ahead and ride in that groove. It does not have to be perfect. This is underneath the plane. I'm a bit of a perfectionist myself, but you're not going to be able to get this too perfect. Alright, so now that we got this cut around, we're going to go ahead and slowly lift up and break the tape off. Don't try and lift from one spot because this will snap on you. Just depends on how much glue they have holding it in, and literally it should be just a little dab. Alright, so there you are. We got the plate removed. Now we need to go ahead and remove that tension plate, or retention plate should I say, and we're going to go ahead and do that with a Phillips screwdriver. 4 screws and it will come out. So we got our 4 screws. We have our plate. Now this retract right here will come right out, as you can go ahead and see. Now we're going to have to go ahead and get this retract off of this little quick connection board. So to do that, our retract follows down this channel right here. Right? So to do that, we got to get to this little plate that's right here. So where these 2 wires come together is the hole for here. So we're going to take our X-Acto and we're going to lightly, everybody, you don't have to push, you don't want to cut your wires. You just want to go ahead and open that up right there. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Now we're going to go ahead and remove these 2 screws holding on the PCB board. And we're going to go ahead and slide this out. And if you go ahead and look, you'll see there's one that's labeled gear. And it's going to be the one right next to where you have the 2 wires for the lights. So let's go ahead and get that servo wire, which is this one, and we're going to go ahead and pull it out. I'm going to grab a retract and get our fish out our wire from the channel. And there it is. Now it's going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and pull this one right out. And you kind of got to be a little rough with it because you got all those wires in there. And now the retract is out of the wing. Now let's go ahead and disassemble this and build our new retract, and then we'll come back here to go ahead and reassemble. Alright, so now we got the retract that we went ahead and removed out of the wing. The first thing we got to go ahead and do is get the strut out of the retract, and on the stock Avanti it's right here in this hole. As you can see, it actually grabs it from at the top, and you'll see what I'm talking about once I go ahead and I remove this. And as you can see, they were barely held on. And now we went ahead and we took it out. Now, here is the new strut, or sorry, the new retract right here. And if you notice from the old one loosened up right here. Let me go ahead and move that up. Right there. The new retract does not. It actually tightens right here up at the top. And on Paul Applebottom's video, he's using the same thing. The reason why I think he's using the retracts from the T33, because if you put this in here, you notice it's loose, and the notches to keep the gear straight won't even line up, because on the T33 they're down here. So we're going to go ahead and do this airborne style, and it definitely is going to hold, and I will show you exactly how this is done coming up. Alright. Remember I told you about that aluminum tubing? This is what you're going to go ahead and do and you're going to create right here. You're going to make a little sleeve, and you notice I got 2 slots in here, and that's for the crimping end. Now, remember how I said you have your slots right here to do the alignment. So if it was like the normal stock retract, we would just have to do that. But we are not going to do that here. We're going to go ahead and get some red Loctite and some blue Loctite, and I'm going to go ahead and show you what we're going to do. Now remember, this is a little unorthodox, and I know you're going to have a whole bunch of people saying out there, you should have done it this way, you should have done it that way. Well, do it your own way. I'm going to do it mine. I know for a fact that this is going to work. How? Because I did the other wing and it works. So what we're going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and take some red Loctite and I'm going to put it right here on this shaft. Okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and let it ooze on down. There we go. Now I'm going to take this shaft right here, or should I say our sleeve, that red Loctite. I'm going to take this little sleeve. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to twist it around to make sure I get that Loctite where it needs to go. I'm going to go ahead and take my napkin. I'm going to wipe off a majority of it. I'm going to go ahead and slip that on. Just like that. Now you'll notice this slips in perfect now. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and get our retract tester so we can go ahead and open and close this to line this up. And we'll be right back. Alright, so we'll need some blue right here. And this will be for our stud bolts. Hopefully I have some left. Alright. And we're going to go ahead and take both our set screws. I'm going to go ahead and throw a little bit of blue Loctite. And we're going to go ahead and get them started. Okay. We'll get our next one. And we're going to get that one started too. All right. Next, we're going to go ahead and throw a little bit of red Loctite. As you can see, this has already set up. Okay. We're going to go ahead and throw some red Loctite just like that. All right. We're going to make sure that it's all the way around the strut very generously. And there you go. Now we're going to go ahead and take our strut. Since we know it's going to be in the wing this way, it needs to go that way. So we're going to take that and we're just going to place it in there. And we're going to line it up the best that we can just by eyeballing it. And we're going to go ahead and tie it down. Okay, a little bit on that side. All right, a little bit on that side. Now with our servo tester, we want to go ahead and we want to collapse the gear. So let's go ahead and do that now. Alright. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and line up right here with the tire, and we're going to go ahead and get it as straight as we possibly can. Alright, now that we got that straight, we're going to go ahead and open up the gear and give it a final tighten. It'd help if I had the battery on straight. Okay, disconnect the power. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to wrench down on these, making sure that they don't move. going to go ahead and check it again when it's closed and make sure that it's straight. And I'm lining up this bottom flat part with the tire. And oh yeah, it moved. Now we went ahead and double checked it. Now we're going to open it up. I'm going to wrench her down on some more. And we're going to keep on repeating this process until we got it clamped down really tight and straight. Alright, and now we got a retract in there. And it is locked down. So next thing we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and close this up. And we're going to go ahead and install the tire. Alright, to install the tire or take it off, there is one set screw down here. And we're going to go ahead and remove that. And they do use a form of Loctite in here, so don't think you're going to go ahead and remove this tire and it falls out. What I seem to work for me is if I can grab it right here like this with needle nose, and I could kind of, break the seal. Just like that. And now I can grab it from the other side with a pair of needle nose. And I can go ahead and wrench this thing out, just like that. It's a little harder for me to do while I'm on camera, because the camera is in the position where I like to stand. And there you go. That easy. Now what you're going to go ahead and do is you're going to take your stock tire and you're going to go ahead and mount it in. Make sure you go in all the way until it snaps. Okay. Now since my retract is going this way, I want my brake to go ahead and be at the front, not at the rear. And now what we're doing is we're going to go ahead and line up this notch right here. And we're going to go ahead and throw Loctite back on our bolt, and we're going to go ahead and set it back in. Put a little too much. And we want to go ahead and back it off, make sure it's all the way in, and we're going to go ahead and crank her down. And there is our new JP brake tire on our Freewing Avanti strut with our T33 retract. Now let's go ahead and put this back into the wing. So one thing is this retract right here, if you can see, is a lot more stout, right? The reason why this will pull more weight. But it won't fit in this little slot, so we need to trim a little bit off of there. For that, I use an X-Acto knife. I drop my retract in, and I go ahead and I mark out how far do I need to cut back. And now I just go ahead and I follow these lines to my new line right here. So let's go ahead and cut this bad boy out.
Double time! March!
Airborne, airborne, all the way! Airborne, airborne, all the way! We like it here, we love it here, we finally found a home! I like it here, we love it here, we finally found a home! A home, a home, a home away from home!
Alright, so now we're back. And we're going to go ahead and slide this on over, and we're going to make sure that this fits. We're going to route our wire to the front, because remember, we're going to have to fish that through right up here again. So let's go ahead and get that. Go ahead and move this sticker back a little bit, where we can access that hole. And let's go ahead and get her back in there again. Alright. Go ahead and turn this around so I can fish it through. And she's in. Alright. So now we want to go ahead and pull all our extra cable down. We're just going to ravel it in this little hole right here. Okay. Now let's go ahead and get this retract and see if what we cut out was good enough. And we're in it to win it, y'all. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to tie down this retract. And then we'll pretty everything up. How's that sound? Next thing we need to go ahead and do is let's go ahead and bed this wire. So we'll go ahead and pull this a little tight. And we're going to shove this right into the same slot that we pulled it out of. Nothing special about that. You might have a seam here where you cut the tape. To me, that's okay. I'll put a piece of masking tape. I know some people, it bugs the crap out of them. Me, not so much. So before I go ahead and I put the PCB board back on, I'm going to go ahead and test out my retract and make sure I still got it working. Now as you can see, it's opening upside down with all that weight. So you know that there's not going to be a problem when you're flying this thing. And you're getting a few extra G's on there. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this wire back a little bit. Give me some slack to dress it up here. Alright, we know we're good. We'll go ahead and collapse her one last time. Alright, and now we're going to go ahead and hook up our servo lead to where it says gear. Signal wires to the bottom. Hold it in from the back side, push it in. Make sure polarity's set good. Alright, now all we got to do is backtrack all these wires. And there's plenty of room in here, guys. Believe you and me, there is a lot of room in this little compartment. And what I like to do is I like to get the wires a little on the downside because this sits a little high. And there it is, everybody, all said and done. And like I said, I usually throw a little piece of clear packing tape right here to adjust that and call it done. Well, everybody, that goes ahead and concludes our retract upgrade and installing our brakes on this wing. I do have the other wing already done. So in our next video, we're going to go ahead and address the fuel tank and fitting that in, because I know a lot of people are curious on the way that I'm going to do that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and please stay tuned for the next one. Noon's out.
Hey, whoa. Hey, whoa.
Get some!